Chosen one. You did not arrive here by accident. This moment has been appointed, aligned, and orchestrated by heaven itself. What you are sensing in your spirit right now is not curiosity, it is confirmation. God has been watching not only what has been done to you, but what it has produced within you. And now, anointed one, you are standing at the threshold of a divine shift, a supernatural release, a transfer that restores what was drained and redirects what was misused. Scripture says, "The Lord gives wisdom to the upright, and favor surrounds them like a shield." This is not exposure for pain, it is protection for promotion. Prepare your heart. What follows is revelation, realignment, and divine acceleration. Chosen one. When truth enters your life, it does not come to wound you. It comes to restore your breath. There is a kind of truth that doesn't arrive with noise or accusation, but with a quiet pressure in your spirit that says something is no longer aligned. You've felt it. That subtle heaviness after certain interactions, that unexplained fatigue that settles in your chest, that sense of being drained, even though you were doing the right thing. This is not confusion. This is discernment awakening. Heaven is not interrupting you to accuse you. Heaven is intervening to protect you from bleeding in places that were never meant to receive your generosity. There are truths that feel sharp at first, not because they are cruel, but because they cut away illusions you learn to survive with. It hurts when you realize that someone you loved, supported, prayed for, and defended spoke about you differently when you were not present. Betrayal from proximity always wounds deeper than betrayal from distance. But hear this clearly, anointed one. Heaven is not revealing this to shame you. Heaven is revealing this to free you. You were never foolish for loving deeply. You were faithful. And heaven honors faithfulness with clarity, not condemnation. I've lived through seasons where my silence was mistaken for weakness and my kindness was treated like obligation. I remember giving more when I should have paused, explaining, when I should have rested, rescuing, when I should have stepped back. What I learned is this continuing to pour is not always love, and endurance is not always obedience. Sometimes heaven waits until you are exhausted enough to finally listen. This moment is not about blaming yourself. It is about releasing you from carrying weight that was never yours to hold in the first place. There is a principle heaven never violates. Sincerity invites defense. When your intentions were clean and your heart was pure, heaven became your witness. You do not need receipts. You do not need explanations. You do not need to defend your name. Heaven heard every whisper you were spared from hearing. Heaven saw every smirk you never saw. And now divine justice is unfolding quietly. Not with revenge, not with confrontation, but with exposure through consequence. What was hidden will reveal itself without your effort, and what drained you will no longer have access to you. This is why silence is becoming your armor. Not silence born from fear, but silence anchored in peace. You will notice that as you stop explaining, your strength returns. As you stop reacting, your clarity sharpens. As you stop overgiving, your spirit begins to breathe again. Write this into your heart and return to it when the urge to justify yourself rises. I trust heaven to fight my unseen battles. You were never designed to prove your character. Heaven does that far better than you ever could. Now hear this with maturity, chosen one. Forgiveness and distance are not opposites. Forgiveness frees your heart. Distance protects your energy. Both are holy. Both are necessary. You are not being called to hate. You are being called to steward what God placed inside you. Divine justice does not humiliate, it educates. Heaven is not interested in embarrassing anyone. Heaven is interested in restoring balance. And sometimes balance is restored when access is removed. As you step back, something in you realigns. Your sleep deepens. Your thoughts slow down. Your joy begins to return without effort. You start realizing how much emotional currency you were spending in places that could never return fruit. Love poured into the wrong hands does not multiply. It leaks. And this season feels like pruning, not because heaven is cutting away your kindness, but because heaven is cutting away environments where your kindness was wasted. What once drained you will now protect you. What once broke you will now build you. And this is only the beginning of your elevation. Chosen one, there comes a sacred moment when heaven no longer allows you to be the cushion for someone else's consequences. That moment is not loud. It doesn't arrive with confrontation or drama. It arrives quietly, like a line drawn in the spirit that says, "This is as far as it goes." What once felt like mercy is now being replaced with clarity, not because your heart changed, but because wisdom has matured inside you. Mercy without truth eventually becomes indulgence, and heaven will not let your compassion become the very thing that delays your destiny. You may have wondered why things began to feel heavier the more you tried to help, why your prayers felt sincere, yet your peace felt thin. Why, the more you poured, the less life seemed to flow back into you. This was not a lack of faith. This was discernment growing pains. When kindness becomes a cover for dysfunction, heaven intervenes, not to punish anyone, but to correct the imbalance. Sometimes the most loving thing heaven does is remove you from a situation so growth can finally take place without your constant sacrifice. Here is a truth that will anchor you. Silence is not bitterness. Silence is wisdom dressed in peace. You are not turning your back. You are stepping aside so God can step in. There is a difference between being a servant of love and being a hostage to misuse. You gave sincerely. You forgave repeatedly. You carried weight that never belonged to you. But now the season has shifted. And what heaven removes, heaven replaces with precision, intention, and beauty. As distance increases, something else begins to happen. Your energy stabilizes. Your clarity sharpens. You stop waking up already tired. You stop bracing yourself for the next request. Your nervous system begins to relax because your spirit finally feels safe again. This is not selfishness. This is sacred self-respect. Heaven is teaching you that your peace is not negotiable and your presence is not an entitlement. Every boundary you uphold now is not rejection. It is protection for what God is building through you. In the space where that connection once existed, heaven is already preparing replacements. Not just people, but alignment. Individuals who know how to lift without leaning. People who pour back without keeping score. People who treat your presence as a gift, not a resource to be drained. You will notice the difference immediately. There will be no confusion, no emotional eggshells, no subtle guilt. With them, giving will feel like joy again, not obligation or silent suffering. And, chosen one, do not overlook this part because it is deeply prophetic. As you stop hemorrhaging emotional and spiritual energy, other areas of your life begin to heal as well. Your focus returns. Your decisions sharpen. Even your finances begin to stabilize, not by force, but by flow. You stop spending emotional currency in places that never honored it. Heaven honors wise stewards. When you guard what God gives, He multiplies it. This is how divine provision works. Blessings were never meant to be wasted. They were meant to be wielded in wisdom. You may notice that the person who once misunderstood your softness will begin to feel the weight of your absence. Not because you wished harm, but because access was never about entitlement. It was about honor. And now that access has been revoked, understanding begins to form. Absence becomes the classroom where empathy is learned. Silence becomes the mirror they can no longer avoid. This is not revenge. This is righteousness unfolding without your involvement. Walk forward now with reverence, not resentment. Reverence for your healing. Reverence for your growth. Reverence for the wisdom God has placed upon you like armor. This separation is not abandonment. It is divine surgery, removing what infected your peace and weakened your strength. You are not walking away in anger. You are walking away in alignment. And every step taken in alignment is blessed, even when it feels unfamiliar. Do not let the enemy convince you that kindness given to the wrong hands was wasted. Heaven saw it. Heaven recorded it. Your reward was never tied to their response. It was tied to your intention, and your intention was always pure. Nothing was lost. Every unseen act of compassion, every unacknowledged sacrifice, every prayer whispered in silence has been accounted for. Heaven does not forget seeds, even when they were planted in soil that refused to yield. Now, new channels are opening. Unexpected opportunities. Help arriving from unexpected places. People who treat your time with honor and your presence with respect. With them, your body will not tense when they call. Your spirit will not dread their requests. Instead of heaviness, there will be ease. Instead of obligation, there will be joy. This is the fruit of discernment. This is what happens when love is guided by wisdom. Chosen one, you are not becoming colder. You are becoming clearer. You are not losing compassion. You are learning how to protect it. And as this clarity settles into your life, everything begins to rearrange quietly behind the scenes. What once drained you will no longer touch you. What looked like loss will reveal itself as protection. And what heaven is preparing next will arrive without struggle, without guilt, and without depletion. Chosen one. There is a point where heaven no longer allows you to confuse endurance with obedience. You can love deeply and still step back. You can forgive fully and still withdraw access. This moment is not about becoming distant or hardened. It is about alignment. Heaven draws lines not to punish you, but to preserve what is sacred. When the Spirit signals restraint, it is not rejection speaking. It is protection activating. You may have noticed how clarity began to replace confusion the moment you stopped explaining yourself. How your body felt lighter when you allowed silence to do what words never could. This is not coincidence. This is wisdom settling in. There are seasons when heaven teaches through presence, and seasons when heaven teaches through absence. Right now, absence is doing the work. Compassion could no longer accomplish without costing you your peace. Understand this truth. Anointed one. Not every need is your assignment. Not every cry is your call. Even Jesus withdrew. Even he walked away from crowds he could have helped, because purpose must always outrank pressure. You are not here to rescue those who resist responsibility. You are here to steward your energy so it can be poured where it will multiply, not evaporate. As you release the urge to fix what was never yours to carry, something begins to rearrange quietly in your life. Your thoughts become clearer. Your decisions feel cleaner. You stop waking up with emotional heaviness before the day even begins. This is what happens when the soul finally rests in discernment instead of guilt. You are not abandoning anyone. You are honoring what God entrusted to you. There is also something prophetic happening beneath the surface. As you stop overgiving emotionally, other areas begin to heal naturally. Your focus sharpens, your creativity returns. Even your finances begin to respond, not through force, but through flow. You stop bleeding resources into places that could not honor them. Heaven honors wise stewards. When you guard what God gives, He multiplies it. This is not punishment for anyone else. This is promotion for you. The one who once mistook your gentleness for weakness will feel the shift without you saying a word. Not because you changed, but because access changed. Distance becomes the teacher that compassion once shielded them from. This is not revenge. It is divine order restoring balance. You were never meant to be the cushion for someone else's refusal to grow. Walk forward now with quiet confidence, not arrogance, not defensiveness, but peace-rooted certainty. Let your calm speak louder than any explanation. Let your joy stand as evidence that heaven has been fighting for you long before you understood why things felt so heavy. You will not need to clear your name. Heaven will do that without your effort. You may notice that people who once doubted you begin to see clearly. Not because you convinced them, but because truth has a way of revealing itself over time. Rumors dissolve when consistency stands firm. False narratives collapse under the weight of quiet integrity. And when that happens, you will not feel the need to say, "I told you." Peace will have already answered for you. Chosen one, do not underestimate what gratitude does in this season. Gratitude is not passive, it is strategic. When you thank God for closed doors, you accelerate alignment. When you thank Him for removed people, you create space for divine replacements. Gratitude turns endings into redirections and losses into refinement. This is how heaven trains the heart to trust without clinging. You are entering a chapter where love is mutual, where effort is reciprocated, where loyalty does not need to be proven through sacrifice. Your presence will be valued, not tolerated. Your boundaries will be respected, not tested. With the right people, giving will feel light again. There will be no tension, no emotional bargaining, no silent exhaustion. And let this settle deeply. You were never foolish. You were faithful. Heaven never mocks faithfulness. Heaven rewards it with discernment, peace, and elevation. What looks like distance now is actually divine positioning. What feels like silence is actually sanctuary. What seemed like loss was protection, disguised as pruning. Stay grounded. Stay gentle. Stay guarded. Not out of fear, but out of reverence for the light within you. What heaven is preparing next will not drain you, it will delight you. And this time your blessings will arrive wrapped in clarity, mutual respect, and peace that remains. Chosen one. There is a sacred recalibration happening inside you now, and it may feel unfamiliar at first. When heaven begins to reorder your life, it doesn't always announce itself with fireworks. Often, it starts with a quiet discomfort toward what you once tolerated. Conversations that used to feel normal now feel heavy. Requests that once felt harmless now feel invasive. This is not you becoming difficult. This is discernment becoming active. Heaven is training your spirit to recognize what nourishes you and what only consumes you. You may notice that you are no longer energized by being needed. That old reflex to rescue, to fix, to overextend is losing its grip. This is not loss of compassion. This is growth. For a long time you were rewarded emotionally for being available, even when it cost you your peace. Now heaven is rewiring you to value alignment over approval. The need to be understood is being replaced by the peace of being led. And that shift alone is opening doors you could never force open before. There is also a deeper truth unfolding here. When God begins to reposition someone for increase, he first protects the vessel. Overflow only comes where there are boundaries. This is why, as your emotional leaks close, provision begins to find its way back to you. You may not call it financial yet, but it starts as clarity, better decisions, cleaner priorities, fewer impulsive yeses. Heaven often restores wealth by first restoring wisdom. What you keep now will multiply later. You might feel moments of guilt rise unexpectedly. Old habits do not release quietly. The voice that says, "You should help or you're changing," may still try to surface. But hear this clearly, anointed one. Growth will always offend the version of you that survived by overgiving. That voice is not conviction, it is conditioning. And heaven is breaking it gently, patiently, but firmly. As you continue to walk in restraint, something beautiful happens. Peace stops being fragile. It becomes stable. You no longer feel thrown off by misunderstanding. You stop rehearsing explanations in your mind. Your silence is no longer defensive. It is confident. This is the kind of peace Scripture alludes to when it speaks of rest that guards the heart. It is not absence of conflict. It is the presence of authority within. People will begin to respond differently to you. Some will rise to meet your boundaries. Others will quietly fall away. This is not loss. This is sorting. Heaven is not subtracting randomly. It is refining intentionally. Those who are drawn only to your availability will lose interest. Those who value your presence will remain. This separation is not punishment for anyone. It is preparation for what is coming next. And what is coming requires strength, not just faith. You are being positioned for responsibility, for influence, for provision that must be stewarded wisely. Heaven does not entrust abundance to exhaustion. It entrusts it to clarity. That is why this season feels slower, quieter, more internal. God is building foundations. You cannot rush. You're learning how to say no without guilt, yes without fear, and wait without anxiety. You may not see the full picture yet, but you are already walking in it. Each time you choose rest over resentment, alignment over obligation, wisdom over impulse, you are participating in a supernatural exchange. What once drained you is being replaced with discernment. What once confused you is being replaced with direction. This is how divine promotion works. It begins internally, then manifests externally. Let me remind you of something important. You are not behind. You are not late. You are not missing out. Heaven's timing is exact, and this pause is not delay. It is protection. Many people step into blessing too early and lose it just as fast. You are being taught how to carry what you prayed for. That alone should tell you how valuable your next season truly is. So continue walking gently but firmly. Let your choices be led, not rushed. Let your giving be intentional, not automatic. Let your peace be non-negotiable. Heaven is watching how you steward this phase, and it is pleased. What is aligning now will support you later. What is leaving now was never meant to go with you. And what is ahead will meet you without resistance, without depletion, and without regret. Chosen one. As this season continues to unfold, you may begin to notice a quiet confidence rising within you, one that does not demand attention or validation. It is the kind of confidence that comes from finally trusting your inner compass instead of external approval. You are no longer reacting to pressure or expectations. You are responding to alignment, and that shift is deeply spiritual. Heaven often confirms maturity, not by what you gain, but by what no longer controls you. There was a time when being misunderstood felt unbearable, when silence felt like defeat, and when stepping back felt like failure. But now, something has changed. You are learning that peace does not require agreement, and clarity does not need applause. This is where authority begins. Authority is not loud. It is settled. It moves without explanation and stands without defense. And this is the posture heaven develops before releasing greater influence. You may also sense that your relationship with giving is transforming. You are still generous, but no longer impulsive. You still care, but you no longer carry what was never yours to fix. This is the difference between compassion and overextension. Heaven is teaching you that your energy is sacred currency. Where you invest it determines what multiplies. When you give from alignment, not guilt, you activate a different kind of return. This is where supernatural provision quietly enters, not as sudden spectacle, but as steady increase, fewer leaks, better discernment, clearer financial decisions, opportunities that feel peaceful instead of pressured. When God restores abundance, He often begins by sealing emotional drains. What you stop losing becomes the foundation for what you begin to build. And you are building now, whether you realize it or not. There may be moments when you look back and feel a twinge of sadness for what ended. Allow that grief without letting it pull you backward. Grief does not mean you made the wrong decision. It means you cared deeply. But you cannot sacrifice your future on the altar of nostalgia. Heaven honors your capacity to feel, but it also honors your willingness to move forward without resentment. You will notice that the people entering your life now feel different. There is mutual respect, clear communication, no hidden expectations. With them, your body does not tense. Your spirit does not brace. This is confirmation. These connections are not draining because they are not rooted in imbalance. Heaven is showing you what healthy exchange looks like, so you never settle for less again. And there is another layer to this shift. As your inner world stabilizes, your outer world begins to respond. Doors open that require discernment to walk through, not desperation to force open. Influence increases, not because you demanded it, but because peace makes you trustworthy. Heaven releases responsibility to those who can carry it without burning themselves out. You may not label it yet as promotion, but it is. Promotion is not always public at first. Sometimes it looks like privacy. Sometimes it feels like quiet preparation. But make no mistake, heaven is positioning you. You are being trained to lead with wisdom, to serve without self-betrayal, and to prosper without losing your soul. That kind of elevation lasts. If guilt tries to return, remind yourself of this truth. You did not withdraw out of bitterness. You withdrew out of obedience. And obedience always brings protection. You did not stop loving. You learned how to love without bleeding. That is not regression. That is refinement. Stay attentive in this season. Listen before you respond. Pause before you agree. Pray before you give. These small disciplines are not restrictions. They are gateways. Through them, peace stays, provision grows, clarity deepens. Heaven is pleased with how you are stewarding this phase, and what comes next will reflect that faithfulness. You are not becoming distant. You are becoming discerning. You are not closing your heart. You are guarding it wisely. And as this discernment continues to shape you, you will find that life feels lighter, relationships feel safer, and your path feels clearer. This is not the end of your generosity. It is the beginning of generosity that multiplies without costing you your peace. Chosen one. There is a deeper strengthening happening now, one that cannot be rushed or forced. You may notice that your reactions have slowed, but your awareness has sharpened. Where you once responded emotionally, you now pause instinctively. That pause is not hesitation. It is authority learning how to speak softly. Heaven often trains leaders in stillness before entrusting them with momentum, because speed without discernment can destroy what patience would have preserved. You are also beginning to recognize how often your past generosity was fueled by responsibility that was never assigned to you. You felt accountable for other people's outcomes, moods, and failures to change. That weight is lifting. Not because you stopped caring, but because you finally realized that love does not require self-erasure. You were never called to be the bridge that others refuse to cross themselves. This release is not abandonment, it is alignment with truth. There may be moments when old patterns attempt to re-enter, a familiar request, a familiar guilt, a familiar urgency that tries to rush you back into overextension. But something in you now resists without effort. You no longer feel compelled to explain why you cannot show up the same way. Your spirit knows when to engage and when to withdraw. This is discernment becoming instinct, and it is one of the clearest signs of spiritual maturity. As this discernment settles, your life begins to reorganize itself. Time feels less fragmented. Energy stops leaking through emotional obligation. Your days become more intentional, even when they are quiet. You are learning that productivity is not measured by how much you carry, but by how aligned you remain. Heaven values sustainability. Burnout never glorified God, but stewardship always does. There is also a financial layer unfolding beneath the surface. Not always immediately visible, but deeply rooted. As emotional drains close, practical wisdom increases. You begin to notice where resources were slipping away unnoticed. Impulsive giving slows. Thoughtful generosity grows. You are no longer moved by pressure or appearances. You give with clarity, and that clarity creates stability. Heaven multiplies what is guarded with wisdom. You may feel moments of loneliness as certain connections fade. Allow that feeling to pass without interpreting it as loss. Some relationships were only sustained by your constant effort. When effort stops, truth surfaces. What remains is what is real. Heaven is not isolating you. Heaven is refining your circle so it can support where you are going, not where you have been. Pay attention to how peace now follows your decisions. When you say no, there is relief instead of regret. When you wait, there is calm instead of anxiety. These are confirmations. Peace is one of the clearest indicators of alignment. When peace remains, heaven is involved. When chaos follows, something is misaligned. Your spirit is learning to recognize the difference without overthinking. You are also being trained to trust timing instead of urgency. Many mistakes are made when urgency is mistaken for divine prompting. Heaven is never frantic. What God intends for you will wait for you to be ready to carry it. That is why this season feels slower, quieter, more internal. Preparation always precedes expansion. Roots must deepen before branches can stretch. If fear whispers that you are missing out, remind yourself that rushing ahead never produced peace in your past. You are not late. You are being preserved. Heaven is protecting you from repeating cycles that once drained you. This time, what enters your life will align with your capacity, not exploit it. Your identity is stabilizing now. You are no longer defined by how much you give, how often you rescue, or how available you remain. You are defined by obedience, wisdom, and peace. That identity cannot be manipulated, and because of that, what comes next will not overwhelm you. It will meet you where you are strengthened, not where you were wounded. Remain attentive. Remain grounded. Let discernment continue to guide your steps. You are being shaped into someone who can carry blessing without losing balance, influence without losing humility, and provision without losing peace. What heaven is preparing will arrive without pressure, without confusion, and without cost to your soul. Chosen one. There is a quiet unveiling happening now, and it may not look dramatic to the outside world, but it is deeply consequential in the spirit. You are beginning to recognize yourself again, not the version shaped by obligation or pressure, but the one anchored in truth. This is what happens when discernment matures. You stop asking who needs you, and you start asking where you are sent. That shift alone realigns your entire life. You may notice that your intuition has grown sharper without becoming harsh. You sense things earlier now. Motives feel clearer. Energy reads differently. This is not suspicion. This is awareness. Heaven does not harden the hearts of the faithful. It educates them. You are learning to see without becoming cynical, to understand without absorbing the weight of what is not yours to fix. That balance is rare, and heaven values it deeply. There will be moments when old voices attempt to re-enter your space, carrying familiar narratives, familiar urgency, familiar guilt. But something has changed in you. You no longer respond from reflex. You listen from alignment. You no longer feel pulled by history. You are guided by direction. This is not emotional detachment. This is sovereignty returning to the soul. You are no longer accessible by manipulation because you are anchored in truth. As this sovereignty strengthens, your sense of purpose becomes clearer. You begin to understand that your life is not meant to be fragmented by constant demands. Your energy has assignment. Your time has intention. Your presence has weight. Heaven does not scatter its vessels. It positions them. And right now you are being positioned for influence that requires stability, not sacrifice. This is also where divine acceleration begins quietly, not through rushing but through alignment. When your internal world settles, your external world responds. Opportunities appear without force. Conversations open without tension. Doors that once felt locked begin to move without resistance. This is not coincidence. This is what happens when heaven sees a heart ready to steward increase without losing peace. You may not label it yet, but this is promotion. Promotion does not always arrive with applause. Often it begins with privacy, clarity, and restraint. Heaven elevates those who can carry blessing without broadcasting it. You are learning how to move wisely, how to wait without anxiety, how to act without urgency. These are the qualities that sustain long-term favor. There is also a deeper healing taking place around trust. Not blind trust, but discerned trust. You are no longer giving access simply because someone is close or familiar. You are learning that proximity does not equal safety, and distance does not equal rejection. This understanding protects your heart without closing it. You remain open, but not exposed. That is wisdom at work. As this wisdom settles, you may feel moments of grief for who you used to be. The one who tried harder. The one who carried more. The one who believed love meant endurance without limits. Let that grief pass through you without pulling you backward. You needed that version of yourself to survive, but you do not need it to thrive. Heaven is not asking you to return to old patterns to prove your goodness. You will notice that your relationships now require less effort to maintain peace. Conversations feel lighter. Expectations are clearer. You no longer feel responsible for managing other people's emotions. This is not indifference. This is health. When love is mutual, it does not demand constant sacrifice. It flows naturally without coercion or guilt. There is a spiritual confidence forming in you that does not depend on validation. You do not need to be seen to be secure. You do not need to be praised to be at peace. You are learning to live from internal assurance rather than external affirmation. That kind of confidence cannot be shaken by rumors, misunderstandings, or silence. It is rooted too deeply. Heaven is also training you to recognize when to move and when to remain still. Not every opportunity requires immediate action. Not every open door is yours to walk through. Timing matters. Alignment matters. You are becoming comfortable with waiting because you trust that what is meant for you will not bypass you. This trust eliminates desperation, and desperation is what once led to overextension. You may feel a growing sense of gratitude for what has been removed. Not because it was easy, but because it was necessary. What left made space. What ended created room. What disappointed you redirected you. This gratitude is not denial of pain. It is recognition of purpose. Heaven often uses endings to protect futures we cannot yet see. As your discernment continues to guide you, you will notice that your life feels more ordered, not rigid but aligned, not controlled but intentional. You are no longer pulled in multiple directions. You are centered, and from that center, everything else begins to organize itself naturally. Chosen one. This is the season where you stop bleeding energy and start building legacy. What you invest now will last. What you nurture now will multiply. What you protect now will carry you forward. Heaven is pleased with how you are stewarding your growth, your peace, and your wisdom. Remain grounded, remain attentive, remain humble. You are not walking away from love. You are walking with wisdom. And what is forming in you now will sustain you for years to come, because it is not built on pressure, fear, or obligation. It is built on truth, alignment, and divine timing. Chosen one. This is the moment heaven seals what it has been shaping. Not with noise, not with spectacle, but with quiet authority settling into your spirit. You are no longer standing at the edge of transformation. You have stepped into it. What once felt uncertain now feels grounded. What once drained you no longer has access. This is alignment becoming permanent. You may notice that peace is no longer something you chase. It follows you. Even when circumstances are imperfect, there is stability inside. This is not emotional numbness. This is spiritual anchoring. Heaven has strengthened your inner foundation, so external shifts no longer shake your identity. You know who you are now, and that knowing changes everything. There was a season when you questioned yourself constantly, when you wondered if you were too much or not enough, when silence felt risky and boundaries felt cruel. But heaven has corrected that distortion. You now understand that clarity is not coldness and restraint is not rejection. Wisdom has replaced self-doubt, and that wisdom will guard you. As this clarity settles, you will see tangible changes around you. Opportunities align without strain. Resources stabilize without panic. Relationships deepen without effort. This is the fruit of discernment. When your internal world becomes ordered, your external world responds naturally. Heaven flows where resistance ends and trust begins. This is also where divine provision takes a new form. Not reckless overflow, but sustainable abundance. You will notice fewer emergencies and more foresight, less pressure and more preparation. Heaven is teaching you how to carry blessing without chaos. This kind of provision lasts because it is rooted in wisdom, not impulse. You may reflect on what you endured and finally understand its purpose. Betrayal refined your vision. Disappointment sharpened your discernment. Loss redirected your loyalty. None of it was wasted. Heaven never wastes pain. It transforms it into instruction. And now you carry knowledge that protects you from repeating old cycles. There is a calm authority in how you move now. You do not rush to respond. You do not chase explanations. You do not fear misunderstanding. Your life speaks for itself. Peace has become your language, and clarity has become your witness. This is how heaven defends the faithful. You are also learning the power of sacred refusal. Saying no longer requires justification. Waiting no longer produces anxiety. You trust timing because you trust God. This trust removes desperation, and desperation was never meant to guide your decisions. Heaven honors patience because patience preserves purpose. Notice how your energy feels more contained, more focused. You are no longer scattered by competing demands. Your attention has direction. Your time has value. Your presence carries weight. Heaven is preparing you for influence that requires steadiness, not exhaustion. What is coming needs you whole. This season marks the end of overgiving and the beginning of intentional generosity. You still love deeply, but you love wisely. You still give, but you give where there is honor. This is not limitation. This is elevation. Love guided by wisdom multiplies instead of drains. You may see people from your past recognize the change without understanding it. Some will respect it, some will resist it. Neither response requires your reaction. You are no longer responsible for managing how others interpret your growth. Heaven did not promote you to remain accessible to misunderstanding. Gratitude will become your anchor here. Not forced gratitude, but settled appreciation for what was removed and what remains. Gratitude keeps your heart open without leaving it exposed. It allows you to move forward without bitterness. Heaven accelerates those who remain thankful while growing. Your future relationships will feel different. Mutual, clear, balanced. There will be no emotional bargaining, no hidden expectations. These connections will support your calling, not compete with it. Heaven is surrounding you with people who recognize value without needing to extract it. This is also where legacy begins to form. Not public legacy, but internal stability that supports long-term impact. You are building a life that can sustain blessing, responsibility, and peace at the same time. That balance is rare, and heaven protects what is rare. Do not rush to define what comes next. Let it unfold. You are no longer behind. You are exactly where preparation meets readiness. Heaven's timing is precise. What is meant for you will arrive without force and remain without fear. Chosen. 1. This is your confirmation. You did not lose anything that was meant to stay. You were not wrong for loving. You were being trained. And now wisdom stands guard over your heart, your resources, and your future. This alignment will hold. Remain attentive. Remain grounded. Remain faithful. What heaven has established will not be undone. You are walking forward with clarity, provision, and peace that does not waver. This is not a temporary shift. This is your new foundation. Chosen one, as this sacred moment comes to rest, breathe, and receive what heaven has already set in motion. This was not just a message you listened to, it was a divine transfer you aligned with. You are standing in your Kairos moment, the exact timing where God shifts you from endurance into clarity, from depletion into restoration. Anointed One. A supernatural realignment is happening now. What drained you has lost access. What was delayed is being reordered. What belongs to you is moving toward you without force, without struggle, and without confusion. Heaven is not rushing you. Heaven is steadying you for what you are about to carry. Remain faithful. Stay aligned. Guard your peace and honor the wisdom God has placed within you. Let gratitude be your posture as you move forward, because thanksgiving keeps the door open for what is manifesting next. You are not behind. You are prepared. I declare peace over your mind, strength over your boundaries, and provision over your future. Go forward, covered, confident, and calm. Chosen One. Your elevation is already unfolding.